Hi, welcome back to the training videos for the Economics and Personal Finance online class. Basically, what we're going to talk about in this video are going to be your instructions and your honor policy for the module quizzes. Now, the difference between the lessons and the lesson assessments that you've been completing up to this point is going to be that the lessons and lesson assessments were more like class time, and there was a lot of open note, open book, open lessons. You could Google, you could do a lot of things because you were just learning the material with those lessons. And so that was, kind of the policy that you could pretty much look up the answers as you went. Now, these are more like traditional quizzes in that you will need to make sure that this is a quiz, that you will have no aids while you are taking this quiz. This is a closed note, no lessons, open, no Google, no inanimate source available, no notes out. None of that stuff is going to be allowed to be used during the quiz. You do need to make sure that all of your tabs, windows, and browsers are closed except for the window that you are using for your module quiz. And also just make sure like you close your messaging windows if you're on social media, things like that, because anything that pops up that you click over on, that is going to be suspicion of an honor violation. And pretty much anytime that you leave the testing window, that is going to be an honor violation. So we want you to make sure that you close everything out except for the window that you have open to take the quiz in. You also want to make sure that you are not allowed to have your phones and your iPads, your smartwatches, any technology sitting out with you. We are going to be asking that parents monitor you so that you are following the honor policies of the course. So make sure you put all those items away. Obviously, you may not work with any person to complete the quiz. Um, and there is a time limit on these. So this is where we'll start having a time limit, basically to eliminate the ability to have extra time to look answers up. So we are trying to work with you and to have you understand these are pretty easy quizzes. You will get 2 attempts at them. There is a time limit. Please pay attention to each individual quiz. That time limit varies from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many questions that they have. Please contact me if you have an IEP or 504, and I will make sure I go through all of your quizzes and your tests and assessments that have a time limit. And we will, like if it's double time, I will make sure I moderate your quiz and make sure that you have twice the time on that. So just contact me before you start taking these quizzes or the tests so that I can adjust that for you. Now, the honor policy for how you may attempt the quiz. So the first attempt, close everything out, put everything away. You're sitting in my room at Maggie Walker, you're going to take this quiz. So pull it up, answer the question, move from one question to the next, and take the quiz. You will then get your results, and when you get your results, you won't get the right answers, but you'll see which ones you missed. You may then, at that point, study. You may look up answers to the ones that you missed. You may like basically revisit Google in between your first attempt and your second attempt. So study the quiz that you took, study the information that you have, look things up that you didn't know, figure out what you think the answers are. Then what you're going to do is you then must close all tabs and windows. You are not allowed to use the first attempt to help answer the second attempt. So you can't have the first one out and looking at the answers in the first one while you're answering the second one. So both of them it all needs to be closed, and then you have a fresh window open and you take the attempt for the second attempt. We will count the higher score in the grade book, and we do have the whole late submission will be penalized 10% per day. But again, remember that you can't move forward until you have completed this. So you can't start the next module until you have taken all the lesson assessments and module quiz for the previous module. Now, I did want to go back and take a look at, so I did adjust for the mistake that you saw in the end of the last video, which was that when you take the quiz for the first time that you didn't see your responses, it was muted. So I fixed all of that through these quizzes. Now this is the example, just kind of showing you, this is lesson 89. So just showing you that you took the quiz for the first time. So what you should see after you take the quiz, here's your attempt 1. And I answered it and I got 10 out of 10. So now you can see that I have a result down here at the bottom. It also shows you what your questions were, and so you can review the ones that you missed and see kind of how you want to change those. So that was for a lesson assessment. And then if you want to take the quiz again, you would click here. But I got 10 out of 10, so I'm going to go ahead and go on. So the next thing after 89, because that's the end of a module assessment. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to submit an honor pledge for the quiz. So before you take each quiz and each test, you are going to reaffirm that you understand the honor policies that we have in place. You'll read through this and you'll type your full name and submit that. And that is you basically signing the honor pledge for this assignment. So reread it, make sure you understand it. If you need to, you can rewatch this video, and then you basically will type your full name and then hit submit. And by typing your name, you are basically signing an honor pledge that you are going to follow the honor policies of this assignment. And then once you have submitted your honor pledge for the assignment, and we'll hit next, then that will bring up the quiz that you have. And now just remember before you start, now obviously for me, I have all sorts of tabs open, so I need to close all of those out, make sure those go away. You need to come down here, whatever you have open. Obviously, I have a ton of stuff open. So you will need to close everything on your computer except for this window that you are taking this quiz in. And realize that same thing, I can see what you click on, I can see what time you answered a question, I can see when you viewed a question, I can see if you leave the window, click on another tab. There are a lot of things that I can see here, and it is going to be an honor violation if you leave the testing window during the quiz. Okay, so again, just a recap, you will attempt it once, you will submit your attempt, and then once you submit your attempt, take the quiz, submit your attempt, you'll get to view your answers. In between the first attempt and the second attempt, you may restudy, revisit lessons, look up things, review as necessary, study. Then you must close everything out except for this testing window, and then take the quiz a second time with no aids. Okay. The only thing that you are allowed to have out at any given time on a quiz, especially in the personal finance class, is just going to be a handheld calculator. So there are some questions where you might need to do some basic multiplication. I mean, you don't even need a fancy calculator. As long as you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you'll have enough for that. Do not use your computer calculator because that will be considered leaving the testing window. So you do want to make sure you have a little calculator that you are using, handheld calculator. Anyone will work, for function or your TI calculator from school. All right, so that is the honor policy for the quizzes. And so you'll work your way through that. And again, we're trusting you guys to have the honor that Maggie Walker upholds. And there's no point, and this is just me as a teacher, pretty much anybody that does this course, and if you just do the course as we have put it out there, pretty much everybody that does it on time is going to get a B plus and A or an A plus. And so you don't want to be cheating and ruin your integrity for a course to get the difference between an A and an A plus. If you want to have an A plus, then you need to read the material and study and not take the path of losing your integrity to look up answers while you're taking these quizzes. Okay? So moving forward, you make sure that you have that kind of covered in your honor policy. And like I said, you'll be submitting the honor policy every time that you take a quiz or a test, and then moving forward. Okay. The next little video will be pretty short because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the test policy. and show you a little bit of the differences between the quiz and the test, which is pretty minor, but I'm going to stop this video here because this is pertinent to the quizzes, and then you'll begin and take a look at the test honor policy as well.